Oh hi, didn't see it. If you're anybody who's ever worn a band shirt, more specifically a Nirvana shirt, the words "name 5 songs" probably make you sigh. Somehow, this cultural phenomenon is still around despite everybody who experiences it hating it, and it being very clear where the hatred comes from. Name 5 blank songs, the blank representing a band or musical artist, is a phrase that originated mainly from poser culture, where members of fan bases for mostly rock or rock subgenre bands or artists call anybody they don't believe to be a real fan of that artist or subgenre a poser. According to the appellation, quote, the term poser refers to somebody pretending to be someone they are not, often associated with aesthetics and subcultures. This is especially capitalized with the resurgence and popularity of the new metal band Deftones as their album Around the Fur grew in notoriety, end quote. When people began to get shirts with the Around the Fur album cover on them, online communities began saying that the people wearing the shirts could not name 5 songs if asked. Nowadays, this online sentiment is being expressed in real life, with people boldly walking up to others wearing shirts with a band on it and asking them to prove their knowledge by naming 5 songs. This trend just seems like another form of gatekeeping at first, until you realize that, like with many forms of gatekeeping, misogyny plays a role in who gets chosen. In an article by The Reflector, the author looks back at her own experiences being judged in musical fan bases. Quote, in high school, I would second guess wearing the Green Day hoodie I owned for fear that I would be tested on if I knew their discography or not. A friend of mine, who I will not say the name of, who is a girl, is constantly asked by school staff and lame 6th grade boys to name 5 Nirvana songs when wearing a shirt with a Nirvana design on it. For a bit more context, this friend of mine possibly knows more about Nirvana than anybody. She's a huge fan, has bought vinyl records and CDs of their music, and could probably name 20 Nirvana songs on the spot. Still, people ask her to name 5 songs. The best way I can assess the situation is the same way I assess most gatekeeping. It's to gain a sense of superiority. The reason you ask is to test the asked, and by placing them as a student and you as the teacher, giving them a pop quiz, you drastically change the power dynamic. You become the real fan, and the other person who is forced into this interaction is just hopping on the bandwagon that came with the band becoming more successful. Now, while I would just say to walk away from any annoying douche asking you to name songs from a band that you genuinely enjoy, it isn't easy. Now that you've found yourself in a situation where you're being asked this question, walking away from this situation just confirms the asker's assumption. You're just a preppy bandwagoner who thinks Nirvana is a clothing brand. You are a fake fan. Walking away would probably seem impossible in the moment, because you know that the person asking that question now has a story to tell their friends about the poser that they publicly embarrassed. I myself have never been asked this question, and I sadly believe this is because I appear more masculine, except my long hair, which I've grown out because I'd rather jump in front of a train than be called sir by restaurant employees. Happy Pride Month. And so many of the responses I get for wearing shirts or merchandise from artists I like are compliments. Still, from an outsider's perspective, especially being an anxious person, being involved in that interaction sounds like hell, and it also sounds impossible to escape without naming the songs. But why would wearing a shirt by, say, Nirvana be such a crime in the first place? I'm not quite sure. In underground culture, especially in rock or rock subgenres, as I have mentioned, there are some cool designs I like quite a bit without having heard much music from the artists with that design on their merchandise. So why should wearing a cool-looking shirt be so bad? The trick is, it isn't. Clothing means nothing except what type of rag you choose to cover your genitals with, and if something looks cool, it just looks cool. Now, I know I'm not able to solve this widespread epidemic of condescending band knowledge testing just by writing this, but I still want people to keep in mind the roots of the name 5 songs issue. And it's important to discuss. If somebody asks you to name 5 songs, they aren't entitled to a response. And if you're somehow the one targeting people wearing band shirts with this demand, rethink your reasoning. Thank you. Before I end this video, I just want to say that my fully instrumental album, Magic Tricks, will be coming out on Bandcamp on June 20th. I hope everyone enjoys it, and I would love it if you could check it out. Thank you for your time.